Okay, this is question 6 on the foundation paper A calculator paper. The question says, here are 8 shapes. Okay, this question occupied the whole page, so I've had to zoom out a bit, but I think you could see enough here. The question says, write down the letters of 2 different pairs of congruent shapes. Now, congruent shapes are exactly the same in every way. Right, a congruent shape is a shape which is exactly the same in every way. So what I often find useful is using tracing paper. If I trace around the shape and I could overlap it over another shape, that means if I can overlap it completely over another shape, that means they're congruent. So what I'm going to do, I reckon just by looking at it, these two are exactly the same. Right now, I think it's pretty obvious, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to just trace over this shape, and I'm going to do it roughly. It doesn't need to be a work of art, but I just need to confirm that another shape in here is exactly like it. So you see there, I just traced over it. So if I do that, bam, that is congruent. So one of my answers is going to be A and E. Okay, the other ones, now, I don't know. I can't see it straight away. Okay, I suspect that it might be G and C. I think those two are going to be congruent. So if we do this again, yeah, so there's G and C. That's that one, G. I've just twisted it. Okay, it's a perfect fit. So that means G and C are congruent. Or you could have put C and G to keep them in alphabetical order. Okay, so that's the answer to part A, and there are 2 marks for that. If I move this upwards a bit so we can see what part B is. It says, the diagram shows an open box in the shape of a cube. So it shows an open box in the shape of a cube. Open means that there's no lid at the top. Write down the letters of 2 shapes which could not form a net. So it's key for this. Which could not form a net of this open box. Now, I want you to think about the net of this open box. I want you to imagine this. If that's the base of the open box, so the bottom, the bit at the bottom of there, right? If I pulled each side off, I would get that coming off. So if I shade that in to say that's the base, that's the bottom, then that side over there would be there. This side here, when I pulled it off or pulled it down flat, it'd be there. This side of the front, if I pulled it down, it would be there. And the side of the back, if I pulled that down, it would be over there. So that's one possible net of the shape. And there are different ways in which I could get the net of the shape. But one of the things I want to point out is that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sides. And normally, like a cube, if there was a lid, there would be 6 sides. But in here, because it's open at the top, it's an open box, there are only 5 sides to it. Now, one way of checking, remember what this question asked us. Write down the letters of 2 shapes which could not form a net. So if I go back up to the top and look here, shape A has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that could be the net. Shape B has 1, 2, 3, 4. Definitely cannot be the net because it only has 4. So those squares, we need ones with 5 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bam. I think I've answered my question here now. Let's just check the rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one. So to answer for part D, the question said write down the letters of 2 shapes, but there are actually 3 shapes here which cannot be a net of an open box. It's B, D, and H. This has 4 squares, this has 4 squares, and this has 6 squares. You need only ones which, as I said before, have 5 squares. So I'm actually just going to write down B and D, and I'll do that. Okay. All right. This is a pretty straightforward question. Make sure you're able to do it. Make sure you get it.